Underground Bunker. This is your proprietor, Monday afternoon. I couldn't record a video outside the courthouse. It was like a hurricane. Way too windy. So I decided to come back here where I'm staying. We had a full day of testimony today at the Danny Masterson retrial, day 10 of the trial, day 6 of testimony. And, the important thing that happened today is Jane Doe 1 testified to brutal treatment by Danny Masterson. She had to once again go through this awful incident from April 2003. And, once again, she's just, her level of detail is incredible. Even though she alleges that she was drugged and she had much difficulty remembering everything, she and Deputy D.A. Mueller have really stepped up the detail this time over the first trial. And, then, like with the previous witness, so much amazing Scientology content coming in. Jane Doe 1, the same day the attack happened, she flew to Florida with her family for her father's birthday. And she was asked why, she was kind of hiding herself, hiding what she said were bruises, and not interacting with her family. And Mueller asked her why, and she was trying to explain that she knew what kind of trouble her family would get in if they knew what had happened to her and what she was going to have to do about it. That, in Scientology, she's going to have to make an accusation about not only a fellow Scientologist, but a celebrity. Jane Doe 1 did a really good job, explaining the kind of trap that these Scientologists find themselves in because of the policies of the church. Well, she did go to someone at the church. She went to Julian Schwartz, a master at arms and the ethics officer we've heard about for many years. And today we finally got to see a picture of him. So that was very interesting. Tried to memorize that as much as I could. And in general, the prosecution has just been doing a great job with visuals in the testimony. So then, Julian Schwartz told her, don't use the R word. We don't use that word here. And, in the first trial, one of the big issues I had was this report that Jane Doe 1 wrote that defense attorney Cohen then really went to town on, talking about the things that are in that report written just after the incident should be the most fresh, and yet it's very different than what she's saying today. Well, today, D.A. Mueller and Jane Doe 1 really went over how that document was prepared, that she had to rewrite it because Julian Schwartz was telling her what to put in it. That's why this is a compromised document. I really think they went a long way to taking that document out of Cohen's hands today. We'll see. But really, much better job this time laying down the foundation for why that document is corrupt. Not only that, but she had to go through ethics programs. She went through months trying to find who did she rape in a previous life that would cause her to be a victim in this life. I wrote about this from almost the beginning back in 2017 that blew my mind, that the result of Jane Doe 1 turning in Danny Masterson to Scientology was that she was put through past life therapy to see what she had done, how many years ago in other lifetimes that would cause her to be a victim today. And they charged her $15,000 for it. I don't think that came out today, but I've reported that previously. So, and then there was even more Scientology content, because then after she decided to defy Scientology and go to the LAPD, just an incredibly brave thing for her to do, Scientology then told her, oh, you're in big trouble. And they sent over Kendrick Moxon, Scientology's attorney, to meet with her father to hammer out an agreement where she would agree never to talk about this again. Yes, they were going to pay her, but the point was, the reason why she felt she had no choice but to sign it was that they were holding a declare order over her head. In other words, if she didn't sign this agreement with David Duncan, Masterson wasn't even using his real name, that they would declare her a suppressive person, and her parents would have to make a choice between her and Scientology. It was just, she had a gun to her head. So that was explained really well today. Again, just so much good Scientology content. And then, yes, cross-examination began at the end of the day. Cohen began going after some familiar themes, but like last week, he's running into some trouble with the judge as far as how to present material from the previous trial. I assume they'll figure it out by tomorrow. But the judge was not happy that he just wants to read in testimony from the first trial, and he can't do it that way. He's got to do it a different way. So all in all, that's what was important today. Yes, there were some distracting things that also took place. In the morning, before we could even get started, the prosecution was complaining that last Friday, Vicky Podreski, Scientology's attorney, had sat down in a spot where it was the most direct view from the witness stand, and then that she had done this gesture. I'm going to try my best. Wow, Jane Doe 1 demonstrated it. She said Vicky Podreski did something like this when she was talking about something. Right? She was flipping the hair, rolling the eyes, scoffing, making a visible sound. And that this what really threw her off. That it was clear Vicky Podreski was trying to intimidate her about something she was talking about. And that the prosecution said, look, this affected her ability to answer questions. We want to make sure that if the jury noticed that, they understand why. Cohen was totally against it. He didn't want the fact that a Scientology attorney was in the audience being discussed to the jury. But Judge Olmedo overruled him and brought the jury out, and they were allowed to go into that. Mueller did ask Jane Doe 1 about that, and she talked about Vicky Podreski doing that thing. So a little, it was not good for Scientology. And at one point, the judge actually said something like, that Scientology's free to come, but they might want to think twice about that. That was a fun moment. But I'm going to say something now to set up this next thing that I know is not going to be popular with all of you. Scientologists do have the right to come to this courtroom, sit quietly in the audience, and watch what's going on. Just like I have the right to watch what's going on. And yes, members of Scientology's Stand League have a right to come to court, sit in the audience, keep quiet, and watch what's going on. Now, another thing I want to say about Stand League, I've been saying this for years. The Stand League is Scientology's fake grassroots organization. And they spend a lot of time writing just garbage about Leah Remini and Mike Rinder and me. And apparently today they sent somebody, this Eva Mahoney, and she had with her this Methodist minister who's kind of the typical, clergy shill that Scientology scares up. And again, I want to point out, I really believe the best thing to do about the Stand League is just to ignore it totally. It has zero influence. Its social media feeds have literally tens of followers. The only time the Stand League ever gets any attention is because somebody, draws attention to it by criticizing them. I just think it's a mistake. Just ignore them. So there was a Stand League person in the audience today. Who cares? She's not going to do anything. Well, somebody felt differently, confronted them in the hallway. It was a big, kind of a loud argument, and it was said in front of jurors. So, defense attorney Philip Cohen called for a mistrial. Now, I know you think that's a joke. Oh, he's always doing that. The defense has called for a mistrial. But it's serious because the judge had to stop things, bring the jury in. She found out that 4 of them have heard this disturbance, and then she quizzed them and decided, okay, they didn't really hear much, so we're just going to keep going. It was just kind of an unfortunate delay, and again, I just think we should ignore the Stand League. Let them sit in the back. Let the infeta flow over them. Maybe they'll learn something, right? Okay. Oh, it's always something. Hey, I just think the important thing we should take away from today is how brave Jane Doe 1 was, what a great job she did, and now she started cross-examination. Tomorrow's not going to be fun. Cohen's going to go after her about the bruises and the gun and everything, and I just, let's keep the focus on that. She's doing a great job so far, and I have a feeling she will tomorrow. People are asking me, will we see Claire Headley tomorrow? I think maybe we'll have to wait till Wednesday for Claire. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe we'll get to see her as soon as tomorrow, but that'll be an interesting thing. So, not at the courthouse because of the wind. This is your proprietor signing out.